Hello, I'm Terry. In the next 10 minutes I'm going to show you how I installed the Loksound version 4 decoder in my Auscision 73 class locomotive. Be warned, doing this conversion won't just nullify your warranty, it'll nuke it. Make sure your locomotive runs well on DC before you even start doing a conversion. The conversion falls into 3 stages. The first stage is the decoder, which is a fairly easy conversion. The second stage is the speaker, not too difficult, it will require some work. And the third stage is the lights, and this does require some very intricate work. But there is another alternative which will give you some light, which we'll discuss later. Firstly, disassemble the locomotive. Just follow Oz's instructions, it's actually very easy. Basically, just unscrew the couplers and pull it apart. On top of the chassis is a printed circuit board. Unplug the light boards, then unsolder all the wires and remove the board. Let's move now into stage 1, installing the decoder. What you'll need to do is remove the cream plastic mount above the rear truck. Just unscrew it, then we need to cut off the top lugs and reaffix it. Normally I use black double-sided tape for decoders, the foam type tape. But because clearances are so tight in this locomotive, I decided to use the double-sided photo mounting tape which I bought from Woolworths. Just fix the decoder in place, wires facing forward using a bit of this tape. Here is where I'll make a change from the normal convention. Usually the red decoder wire goes to the right red track pickup, but because this locomotive is the other way around, the red decoder wire goes to the black track pickup. We are now ready to commence stage 2, the fitting of the speaker. I used a 25 by 16mm rectangular speaker fitted into the cab. The 16 by 25 speaker is a flush fit width-wise. The sound chamber which comes with the speaker is too big, so I've made up a new one using black styrene plastic I bought from the local hobby shop. Unclip the body from the walkway or the running board, and then carefully prise the handrails out of the cab walls using a pair of needle nose pliers. Be careful, the wire is quite hard and will need a fair bit of effort. The staunches actually came loose on mine and I had to re-glue them later on when I reassembled it. Once you have removed the cab, take a new hobby knife. I use a number 10 scalpel and carefully saw the cab detail moulding off the running board. It's got 4 small lugs holding it underneath. Work slowly and work carefully. You run a real risk of cutting into the frame or chopping into your fingers. Take plenty of time with this step. Have a look in the cab. You'll see 2 white control blocks in there. They will need to be removed. Be very careful with the lugs on the body. They are quite fragile. I broke one of mine off and had to glue it back on with MEK. The speaker sits on top of this new sound chamber rather than slide into it. Here is the body shell, just showing how I've mounted the speaker into it. The speaker is actually up inside the cab. Let's see if I can get the right angle on this. Move back a little bit. There you can see the speaker in there. It's actually inside the cab with its own sound enclosure which I built up. The sound enclosure that came with it was too big, so I had to make up one that would actually fit inside the cab itself. You can also see while I'm here the 4 little marks there on the running rails on the footplate. These were for mounting of the cab. Now for the last part of our conversion, doing the lights. This is quite daunting, does require some patience and some skill. There are three ways to proceed. You can either modify the existing boards, or you can manufacture brand new boards, or you can just go ahead and stick some LEDs inside the locomotive shell itself, which will give you headlights, but no other lights. Let's have a look first about modifying existing boards. Grab hold of a copy of the June 2013 Australian Model Railroad magazine, issue number 300, and have a look on page 46. Ben O'Malley gives an excellent article on DCC conversion for the 73 class and shows how to modify the boards to be able to get it to operate the way that you would like. I was already committed to manufacturing totally new boards, so it didn't go that way. Consider both before you decide which way you go. You're going to be soldering very, very small items, about the size of the tip of a lead pencil. It's very intricate work. For the board itself, I've used an old board that I had, I think was in a Barkman centre cab locomotive, which I removed so I could put DCC into it. And I found just a nice thickness board that I was able to cut up and use to make the new light boards for the 73 class. It's very important with any LEDs, but especially with these surface mount ones, to get the polarity correct. This is how I arranged the LEDs to make it easiest to be able to wire them up. I superglued three 1K surface mount resistors on the opposite side of the boards. The existing light boards from Auscision come in two parts. They've got a black plastic cover with the little holes in it to let the light through, and they've got the light board behind, and you can prise these apart with a small jeweler's screwdriver. One of the other tools I use is a 3-volt battery. It's just two batteries that I've put together, soldered some wires on, and this section, this lead up here, I've got a 1K resistor actually soldered into it so I can test LEDs, and it's actually soldered onto two needles, so small sewing needles that I can use to just poke onto the small LEDs to test them. Here's one of my remanufactured light boards that I've made with surface mount LEDs. There's not much clearance between the front light board and the gear tower, so you have to be careful how you actually make it. Don't have too much hanging out the back of the light board or it'll connect with the gear tower. You can't run wires at the side of the locomotive, there's not enough room, but you can put wires up the top, so make sure you run your wires up the top of the locomotive, not up the side. The last task is to refit the light boards and solder them in. Reassemble the body to the underframe, then refit the handrails. I also used a little bit of magic tape from Woolworths to hold the body to the frame just in case it moved. I then tested the installation by hooking up the lock programmer and reading the CVs. Once I could read the CVs, then I knew the system was okay. I then downloaded the Caterpillar sound file, it's ESU number 74444, and changed the horn using CV48 to number 3. Okay, let's start her up. Put on headlights, have the marker lights, sound the horn, and we'll take off.